So the Eagles just added another wide receiver. That will be the third wide receiver this all season so far. And of course, we have the draft coming up. What does this mean for A.J. Brown? What's going on, everybody? Spunky Nights 91 coming guys another video. So the Eagles have traded for Green Bay Packers wide receiver Dontayvion Wicks. According to reports, the Eagles are sending a 5th and a 7th round draft pick to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for the Dontayvion Wicks. It's a 2026 5th round draft pick and a 2027 6th round draft pick. Dontayvion Wicks will be signing a 1-year, $12 million contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he joins a very crowded wide receiver room for the Philadelphia Eagles, which right now currently consists of A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, who we just added this offseason, Darius Cooper, Britton Covey, Danny Gray, Elijah Moore, who we also added this offseason, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Johnny Wilson. This right here definitely has Eagles' new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, written all over it. You know, he coached them obviously, you know, in Green Bay when he was a quarterback's coach there. So he, you know, he's familiar with Dontayvion Wicks in that system. So this definitely has Sean Mannion written all over it. He'll be coaching him, obviously, as a wide receiver now in Philadelphia. As a wide receiver in Philadelphia. And the big question mark goes now: what happens with A.J. Brown? And the answer to that is, we don't know. I was one of those Eagles fans. I was saying I just don't see A.J. Brown getting traded for at least 2 to 3 seasons, you know, because of the money that the Eagles will owe him for cutting or trading him. You know, it's a huge cap hit. We've been hearing this stuff for the past couple of seasons, like the last 2 years. We've been hearing that A.J. Brown is on the trade block or a potential trade target. I was not expecting him to truly be traded anytime soon. The Eagles, you know, if they do trade him, I see it happening post June 1st. June 1st is where I see him trade him. I don't see a big trade coming in the draft when it comes to him. But like I said, I went from being 90% sure that A.J. Brown will be on the Philadelphia Eagles in 2026 to now I'm at basically, like, I would say it's 50-50 at this point. No, it's just, it's just a lot of head scratching. Dontayvion Wicks is not a number 1 receiver. He's not a number 2 receiver. He's definitely a number 3 receiver. You know, he's definitely a slot guy. However, you brought in Marquise Brown, who we thought was filling that spot. And you also brought in Elijah Moore, who we also thought was fitting that spot. So you have 3 receivers who are in that. They are slot receivers. They are number 3 guys. I guess Marquise Brown, if you really need him to be, can be a number 2. I guess he could be. But yeah, it really opens up a lot of question marks now. Like what's the future of this wide receiver group? You know, there's a lot of weapons right now. We obviously know the Eagles are not going to keep all 9 of these wide receivers. You know, guys like Johnny Wilson, Quez Watkins, Danny Gray, Britton Covey, those guys are definitely people who are, definitely high cut targets / practice squad players. So we know they're not going to keep all these players, but at the same time, when you see them continue to add wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receiver, it's like, yeah. This definitely opens up. It definitely in my brain, it's like, okay, while I was confident that A.J. Brown wasn't going anywhere, now I'm like 50-50. I honestly don't know. Like I said, if they do trade him, it's gonna be in my opinion, after June 1st. That's what I expect. Yeah, like I said, Dontayvion Wicks is definitely a slot guy, but you brought in Marquise Brown, who we thought was going to be that guy, and you brought in Elijah Moore, who we thought was going to be that guy, and so now, and we haven't even gotten to the draft yet. they could very well go and draft a wide receiver in the NFL draft. So we haven't even got to that point yet. There's just so many question marks here. The front office, Howie Roseman, they all say that A.J. Brown's not going anywhere. But we all know the NFL is a business. A.J. Brown has been unhappy with this team's offense for a while now, which, quite frankly, I don't blame him. I think all of us Eagle fans were very unhappy with the way this offense looked last year. With all the money that's being put into this offense, with all the talent on this offense, I respect A.J. Brown for being the only guy in that locker room, really, that had the guts to speak up about what was going on. And you had guys after the season ended, they finally spoke up about the offense. They were reluctant to criticize the offensive play calling during the season, but the moment the season was over with, they were very critical of it. A.J. Brown was critical of it throughout the season, and I respected that because we all saw that there was a huge problem with this offense, and none of us really believed, I would generally say, that this offense was going to get any better, and it never did. So I want us to keep A.J. Brown, I really do, but at the same time, I have to look at this. I have to look at what the Eagles are doing, the front office is doing, and I have to question this because it is a humongous question mark when you brought in now yet your third wide receiver this offseason. It is a huge question mark, especially when you have other positions that you need to address. Pass rush needs to be addressed. The safety position needs to be addressed. But the Eagles didn't do anything with those positions during the free agency or so far. Obviously, we had the draft, but it seems like they're putting the emphasis on the wide receiver position, and that's why I said they're putting a strong emphasis on wide receiver, and it just opens up. It's just a huge question mark at this point. There's no other way to put it. It's a humongous question mark at this point. What's the plans? Like what is the plans coming up? Like I said, right now I'm 50-50 when it comes to A.J. Brown. He can either stay or go at this point. The way it looks like it. I would hate to see A.J. Brown be traded. He's such a talented wide receiver. Definitely easily a top 10 wide receiver in the league. You can argue top 5 wide receiver in the league. And if he goes and then goes somewhere else and puts up a monster year, that's gonna sting. That's really gonna sting. It's gonna sting very hard because it's A.J. Brown's talent is not a question. It's not. To me, it's never been a question. The guy is still an elite wide receiver. And the offense in general was just a struggle last year, a huge disappointment last year. So, if they trade A.J. Brown, it's going to sting for sure. But obviously, as Eagle fans, players come and go in this league. That's why I don't buy player jerseys, because you don't know how long a player is going to be playing for your team. You just don't know. That's the business of the NFL. The only player jersey that I will buy is a retired player. Like my favorite Eagles player of all time, Brian Dawkins. Somebody like that, I would buy their jersey because they're retired. But I would never buy a current NFL player's jersey for stuff like this because then, you have to understand, as much as we love this game, as much as we love the Philadelphia Eagles, we gotta understand the Philadelphia Eagles organization is a business, and ultimately, Howie Roseman is gonna make the decision that he feels makes the best business sense for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what that's what his job is to do. That's why that's why Jeffrey Lurie hired him. So we just have to sit back and trust that Howie Roseman is gonna make the best decisions that for the franchise, and hope that whatever decision that he does make, obviously, is it doesn't come at to bite us. But with that said, man, Dontayvion Wicks, welcome to Philadelphia. 1 year, $12 million contract he signed with the Eagles. So next year's gonna be one of those. Let's see what he could do. I'm obviously very excited about what we us adding at corner. We obviously at cornerback this offseason had a big off-season addition with Rick Rulin. So I feel very good about the corner position with him, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean, of course, those 3 corners. But safety position is a big question mark for me. We obviously have Andre Makuba, who we drafted a few years ago. We obviously have him. We sent Sidney Brown off. We traded him off. So there's question marks for me at the safety position. But they do have the draft coming up, so I do expect that position to be addressed. Just like I expect the pass rush position to be addressed, because right now, when it comes to our pass rushes currently, you know, we need some help at that at the pass rush, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. You know, the answer to the question about AJ Brown, obviously, we just don't know. I went from being 90% to now 50-50. I don't expect anything to happen with AJ Brown until after June 1st. That's just my personal opinion on this. I could be surprised and something happens during the draft, but I guess we just have to sit back and see. But again, Dontayvion Wicks, welcome to Philadelphia. You know, let's see what you can do next year for the on that field for the Eagles. But as always, go Birds. Spunky 1991 is out of here. Fly, go fly. Peace.
That's all, folks.